Let us observe 1 minute silence for the soul of the late Nigerian Governors Forum. May the soul of the late Governors Forum, which we lost years ago, never rest in peace until Nigerians get leaders who mean well for the people and in the face of tragedy will do everything to protect human lives. Nigerians, use this opportunity to tag your governor and ask them the simple question, Mr. Governor, of all things to be in this world, why choose to be useless and wicked? In the face of all of this killing and katakata where they go on for country, Nigerian governors, they pretend like say they don't know what's in they happen. Una they pretend they shadow like say you are not part of the government because ori buruku lense. If it come to sharing FAC allocation, when it come to sharing tax, all of una go get common ground. But in the face of tragedy, una they collect security vote, una they collect tax, una they collect revenue, una they share pocket money FAC allocation from government, but there is no common ground on how to protect the lives of your people. Those of una where they the sub-governmental level, where they closer to the people, even if there is no master plan or strategy from your master strategies to protect human life, can you people who are at the state level not say no? Is it not time maybe to put pressure on National Assembly for state policing to decentralize security operation? What exactly is going on? What can be done? This so-called peace deal. Out of 34 local government for Katsina, 20 of those local government don't enter peace deal with bandits according to reports. Yet Nigerian governors when they pretend like say wanna not be part of the problem where they go on for this country. In all of this situation, where is the chairman of Nigerian Governors Forum? Kwara State Governor, Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak. Your state don't become customer dadani for terrorists where they enter carry people like say that they go supermarkets. Yet unfortunately, the Governors Forum don't die natural death due to the psychophancy, hypocrisy and greed of politicians. They attempt to convert Nigeria into one party state where everybody they jump into one party so that they can use federal fraud of INEC and judiciary to write results for when election come. So the most viable one, not even the Governors Forum, is the APC Governors Forum, where when they call Progressive Governors Forum, headed by Imo State Governor Hope Tanko Dima Bidistin Dima. Unfortunately, what is progressive about a Governors Forum where people will be killed on a daily basis under your government and you lack the capacity to protect life, where terrorists they share sovereignty with a commander-in-chief and you call it a sovereign nation? Kebbi State Governor will be one of progressive governor. He said government give intel to military withdraw people 30 minutes before the attack, they enter, they go carry children. Yet you call yourself Progressive Governors Forum. When you meet and listen to progressive governors, you go hear Edo Onakpakomiza. He said his own plan is how he won't give Tinubu 2.5 million votes for 2027. Your own election, how many votes INEC give you? When you go Kogi governor go tell you say now people wey abuse president they want to arrest because president na their papa, because ori buruku lenche Nigerian politicians. The only thing we wanna know now when you go to go and meet president is to who go become the sycophant or hypocrite in chief. You are doing well, your excellency. Everything is under control. Everything now that control go later collapse una for that mandate where una dey stand. Because if it is not about your political future, how una go take come back, you are not interested. You don't already they keep the unfortunate and miserable rights where una go share with money where they go use for vote buying, to use federal fraud to help una to come back during election or campaign season. Unfortunately, 2027, una know they think of how many people go even day alive before the election. Let Nigeria have stability. Make innocent life stop to the waste. Nigerian governors stop to they pretend like say una hand no dey the problem where country they face. You are not employees of the president. You are governors. Tomorrow they go invite una make una where I should be go chop dinner like they don't invite them Akpabio to go chop for their mama place. So because Uri Buruku Lenshe Nigerian government, Nigerians, you must hold public office holders accountable at every level. The insecurity and the catastrophe where they for Nigeria, all of their hand they inside, and they must look for a way to solve it to protect human life. And come 2027, you must send a message for everybody to know that the power of the people must be greater than the criminals in power. Protect human life. Tag your governor and ask him, Mr. Governor, why the wickedness? Waiting on they use wickedness to do. My name is Peter for Nigeria.
The conversation surrounding governance, public responsibility, and civic expectations often intensifies when ordinary citizens express frustration with the actions or inactions of leaders, and this sentiment becomes even more pronounced in context where security challenges and economic uncertainties are persistent realities. The statement by Randy Peter Oka, which has generated discussions across digital spaces, reflects a strong emotional reaction to concerns about leadership accountability, safety, and institutional reliability in Nigeria. In this analysis, we will explore these concerns through a critical but objective lens, highlighting the implications behind the words while maintaining a respectful tone, as encouragement toward constructive public conversation is essential. As we examine the meaning embedded in the statement, you can stay engaged by sharing your own thoughts in the comments and subscribing for more analytical breakdowns like this. Your contributions genuinely help shape conversations that matter. The opening sentiment, which calls for symbolic silence for what is described as the late Nigerian Governors Forum, uses expressive language to convey disappointment in the perceived deterioration of collective leadership. This rhetorical style reflects a broader pattern in civic discourse, where citizens signal grief over institutions they believe have failed in meeting expectations for protection and service. When someone argues that the soul of the forum should not rest, the underlying meaning is not a wish for harm but a figurative appeal for continued accountability, insisting that institutions must remain responsive until meaningful improvements are achieved. This introduces an important theme, the desire for leaders who are proactive, transparent, and aligned with public well-being, especially during times of national difficulty. Whether one agrees with the tone or not, the underlying expectation is clear: leadership should uphold responsibility, particularly regarding safety and crisis management. If you find this type of breakdown helpful, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss future discussions. The statement raises the issue of widespread insecurity, which remains a serious public concern in Nigeria. Criticism directed at governors here is centered on the perceived absence of unified strategy and coordinated response to protect citizens from violent incidents. In many democracies, citizens expect state-level leaders to work collaboratively with federal authorities while also taking independent initiatives within their jurisdiction. When the author questions why governors appear absent or passive during security crises, the frustration reflects a broader sense of vulnerability felt by many communities. Observing events and incidents that affect ordinary families can intensify public demand for visible, empathetic, and effective leadership. Critically analyzing this, we note that the call for accountability is a central component of civic engagement. Citizens have the right to question leaders about safety measures, preparedness plans, early warning systems, intelligence processing, and communication strategies. The statement uses charged phrases, but beneath that emotional layer lies a policy-related critique about federal-state coordination, resource distribution, and the structure of Nigeria's security framework. The argument touches on decentralization, which has long been debated within the country. Advocates believe state policing could improve response time, community intelligence, and localized strategy, while critics worry about the risks of misuse or uneven enforcement. The statement blames governors for not lobbying strongly enough for reforms. Yet it is important to understand that reform processes, particularly security-related ones, involve constitutional complexities, legislative negotiations, and budgetary considerations. This makes change gradual rather than immediate. However, slow progress can be perceived by citizens as unwillingness or indifference. Your thoughts on this debate are welcome. Drop a comment so we can expand the conversation with balanced viewpoints. The mention of pretending not to know what is happening reflects a public perception problem. Leaders who do not offer frequent public updates or do not appear visibly engaged during crises often face criticism due to communication gaps. In contexts where information spreads fast through social media, public silence is usually interpreted as disengagement. Yet, communication strategies vary from administration to administration, and sometimes behind-the-scenes work is not immediately publicized. Nonetheless, effective governance requires consistent communication to maintain public trust. When people say leaders pretend in the shadow, it is a metaphor for lack of transparency. A key part of disaster management and crisis leadership is offering timely updates, even when solutions are still underway. It reassures the population that their well-being is a priority. The criticism in the statement specifically highlights financial flows, referencing tax collection, federal allocation, and security votes. These resources are intended to support governance and public service, and when insecurity persists, citizens demand to know how those funds are being utilized. This falls under financial accountability, an essential requirement for any functioning democratic system. When such questions are asked, they reflect public desire for clarity rather than hostility. Feel free to subscribe if you want future analysis explaining governance and accountability in accessible ways. The statement also refers to peace deals with armed groups, particularly noting that multiple local government areas entered agreements with non-state actors. These agreements often emerge in fragile contexts where immediate protection of civilians is prioritized over long-term enforcement strategies. While some analysts argue that peace deals may temporarily reduce violence, others assert that such agreements can embolden armed groups or undermine state authority if not carefully managed within a legal and strategic framework. The concern expressed here is that entering such agreements suggests a breakdown in state capacity to enforce security. This critique aligns with discussions among security experts who believe that sustainable stability requires robust intelligence, strong law enforcement presence, economic development programs, and community-driven peace-building interventions, rather than temporary agreements that may not resolve root causes. The statement's frustration is thus anchored in broader debates about security governance. This is a complex subject, and your perspective can help broaden the dialogue. Feel free to comment with your own viewpoint. Another major point raised in the statement relates to political unity among governors, particularly around financial matters, contrasted with the lack of unity regarding citizen protection. This is a rhetorical device meant to highlight perceived inconsistency in priorities. The author implies that when it comes to resource distribution, cooperation appears strong, but when it comes to security reforms, cooperation appears weak. Whether this perception is accurate depends on verified data and official communications from government institutions, but the emotional weight of the statement demonstrates how citizens perceive actions, not only intentions. Clear communication, joint action plans, transparent reporting, and visible community engagement from leaders can improve public trust. When leaders consistently demonstrate alignment with public safety priorities, the perception of indifference begins to decrease. And if you're following along, remember to subscribe for more content like this. Your support truly matters.